nobody likes chapped lips. You know, they get dry and, you know, all crinkled up and cracked, and, you know, sometimes they even get really bad where, like, blood's, like, blurring out of it, you know. But nobody likes that. I mean, it hurts, and it's not very fun, because then you have to, like, sometimes you have to talk funny because you don't want to open your mouth too wide. You know, you can only, sometimes you're afraid to eat certain things. So nobody likes chapped lips, and there's different causes for chapped lips, as far as I know, but I know sometimes they get sunburnt, and that's actually part of the reason why they get chapped, or they just get dried out for some reason, or anything like that. But when I was younger, I used to think that it would just heal on itself, you know, which it does, but it takes forever. So humanity, has created a medical option to make the healing process a little bit easier, and also to help soothe the dryness of your lips while it's in the middle of the healing process. And so we all know that as chapstick. It's actually lip balm. And I am a very big, I guess you could say, nerd of lip balm and chapstick. I have many different kinds, and I use them in different situations. So let me just go ahead and go over 4 main kinds of lip balm. Okay, well, let's go with the first one, chapstick. Okay, yeah, we all know this. This is a pretty common one. It's a skin protectant / sunscreen. Okay, cherry, basic, you know, and it's actually, everybody calls stuff chapstick. It's kind of like with soda and Coke. You know, we call it, hey, do you have any Coke? You know, they don't necessarily mean Coke, but we just mean soda. You know, or rollerblades. Rollerblades is actually a brand name, and it's actually called inline skates. Or, you know, everyone knows, do you have a Kleenex? That's a brand name. It's actually, you know, tissue. You know, so we have many different kinds of things where we've taken a brand name and made it the name of the category. So chapstick became very popular, and it basically took the name for lip balm. But what's surprising is that chapstick is actually the worst one. It's not very good. I don't have very good success with chapstick. Now, the only reason why I use it is if I do need to put some sunscreen on my lip, I'll put this on there. Or if I can just barely tell that my lips are starting to go chapped, I'll put this on to maybe prevent it. But other than that, it doesn't do a very good job of healing it once you have really bad chapped lips. It doesn't even do a very good job of making your lips moisturized. You know, and so it doesn't even do a very good job. I just use it for very preventive measures in the very beginning stages of stuff. Okay, so the next one is what we call Burt's Bees. Now, this is a famous one. It's quite actually interesting. It's medicated lip balm with clove oil. So it takes the more natural approach, I guess. Burt's Bees makes a lot of cool things, and they use the natural ingredients of stuff. It hasn't been tested on animals, so I guess that's interesting. So, but Burt's Bees is actually a really good thing. The soothing sensation that it gives you is actually pretty cool. And I don't want to call it flavor, because it's not like you're eating it, but it has a good, decent flavor, I guess you could say. And it's made for soothing, healing, and relieving. And so it does a pretty decent job, but I have found that there's like a after effect, I guess you could say, of kind of, it doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it affects my lips very well. But it does do a good job of soothing it. Maybe not healing it per se, but soothing it does do a decent job, at least for the temporary purposes. The second one, or the third one, is actually a tube called Caramex. Now, I believe Caramex sells it in many different options, but this is for cold sores and dry chapped lips with an easy-on applicator. So it's not a stick. And this actually, I like this, the way that it applies on your lips. That's actually really cool. and it's more for the cold sores part of the thing. I believe that this heals cold sores pretty well, and I use this more often than not. This is probably the most I use for my dry and chapped lips, and it's more of like a gel kind of, I guess you could say, when it comes out a little bit. But you don't need very much of it, and it does a pretty decent job. However, I still don't think it's the best one for healing purposes. So that leaves us to the fourth one, which is this stuff called Blistex. Now, I have found this to be the best one overall. It's medicated balm and lip protectant sunscreen, and this has an SPS of 15 for the sunscreen part, and the Chapstick only has a 4 SPF, I believe. But this has a lot of medication in it. Now, I would say that probably the difference between the Blistex and the Burt's Bees is that the Burt's Bees is more of a natural, organic type of thing, whereas the Blistex is just purely medication. And but I really believe that this does the best. Of course, all of our bodies kind of react a little bit differently, but my lips really get healed when I use this stuff. Now, this stuff may not do the really good job of soothing, or like the Burt's Bees does, or like the Caramex, but it does for sure, I think, heals your lips a lot faster than the other ones. So if you want quick healing, it's this stuff. Now, I sometimes use a combination of the ones, you know. A lot of times if I want really good soothing, I'll use the Burt's Bees. The best time to use for medication of healing your lips is put some on at night when you go to bed, because what that does is that just basically sits on your lips the entire time you're sleeping, you know. But when you're out active and you're moving around, you know, and then you have to eat and drink and stuff like that, that stuff washes off pretty easily. So, you know, during the day, maybe use some Burt's Bees to kind of soothe your lips, or some Caramex to soothe your lips. But then at nighttime, I would suggest using the medicated lip balm by Blistex, because then that will just sit on your lips all night, and, you know, it'll do a very good job. So that's my 2 cents about lip balm, and I hope you guys will be able to be helped by my practical experience, I guess you could say, on lip balm. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great day, and my name is James, and I am your friend.